Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some battles here in the Open Great League, and apologies that it's been a while since I last posted a video, but I hope you all had a wonderful holiday season and a wonderful Christmas as well. And it's almost hard to believe that we are already about to enter 2024. And these are battles taken in the Great League. I took these battles sometime last week, but I've been actually running this team ever since then, and it's been proving very successful for me. And I've been getting mostly positive sets with this team. And this team, I will point out, is the #1 team on PvPoke at the moment. It consists of Cradily, Poliwrath, and Skeledirge. Now, I've seen some variations of this team depending on the order. Some people use Skeledirge first, but I prefer to choose Cradily first, just because of the back two Pokemon being weak to Lantern in the back. So that is the rationale behind why I'm putting Cradily in the lead. And then, of course, you do have some coverage in the back because Cradily is also weak against fighters. So you have Poliwrath and Skeledirge both doing okay against the fighters. Poliwrath more so on the okay side, but Skeledirge, depending on what fighter it is, will do great against it. So I also do want to say that I am using a new lamp, so you are going to be seeing a little bit of a different setup here from me. And we are going to take a look at this team and see if it's really a team that is indeed worth using here in the Open Great League. And like I said before, this team has been very, very successful for me. I've been getting nothing but positive sets with it, so I would definitely recommend you using this team. I think there are now a lot more people trying to hard counter this team now, so keep that in mind. But if you play the matchups correctly, you should have a lot of fun and a lot of success with this team. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump straight into the commentary here. About to wrap up the first of these matches, and I think in this specific set that I'm recording here today, I got a 4-1. So I am able to reach a Scald the last minute here, but there's basically nothing the Whiscash can do here up against the Cradily. So that is going to be a good game. Very well played to my opponent. Hopping into the next battle here, we have Cradily on the lead up against a Mantine. So this is where you want to see Mantine if you're running this team. And I do definitely recommend you staying in here. You should definitely be firing off these rock slides. You can definitely take an Ice Beam, but I just chose to shield here just because it will do a lot of damage. And I am going to overfarm just a little bit. And the opponent was trying to catch a rock slide on their Galarian Stunfisk. So luckily for me, I was able to hold on to my energy and then fire off the Grass Knot, doing some very nice damage here. And now I'm going to bank a move and then swap into the Poliwrath here to counter down this G-Fisk. So I'm going to no shield this move here, and I am going to tank this Earthquake, no problem, and then I am just going to be countering down the Galarian Stunfisk here. So that is perfect here for me, and I do leave with some energy to threaten the Mantine. Fortunately for me though, Icy Wind still hits for neutral damage up against this Mantine, so I'm going to be firing off as many of those as I can here before I go down. I'm going to be firing one here. This will be chipping the Mantine a little bit, and of course guaranteeing a debuff here with the Icy Wind, which is always nice. It will lower the opponent's attack by 1 stage, and it is guaranteed. Now Scald did get a little bit of a buff this past season, if you guys were not aware. Scald also received a buff doing more damage and also increasing the chance to lower your opponent's attack by 1 stage by a little bit. So I'm now going to come back in with Cradily, and the opponent has a Lurantis in the back. So this is very easy farm for my Skeledirge here. I can no shield any of these moves here from the Lurantis. All of the moves that it throws, Leaf Blade, Superpower, they're all going to be resisted here onto the Skeledirge. So no problem here. I'm going to just, again, tank all this energy, and then I am going to just farm this Lurantis all the way down. So they're going to throw another Leaf Blade. That is perfectly fine. And I'm going to be threatening the Mantine, and they realize that the game is over, so they concede the match. Good game. Hopping into the next battle, we have Cradily up against a Wigglytuff. So this is definitely where you want to see it here on this team, but the opponent does decide to swap out into a Registeel. So this is actually a little bit of a problem here for me. What I think I should have done here in this situation is I probably could have swapped into the Skeledirge, but I also did realize that the Wigglytuff will be doing very well. I do catch a Focus Blast here though, which is nice. Because I was actually expecting to catch a Zap Cannon, but luckily my opponent didn't throw on time, or actually didn't react in time. So now I will have to shield this potential Zap Cannon, which it is, but it's another Focus Blast, unfortunately here for me. So this is actually going to be a very tricky situation here for me. I do want to fire off some energy here. In hindsight, I probably could have fired the Scald, but I didn't want the Wigglytuff to get more farm. So I am going to try to counter down, but unfortunately I cannot. So that is a little bit of a misplay here from me. So that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and let this move go. I am going to try for an aggressive farm down here with the Cradily, and luckily I am able to do that. So that is great. Now I have a lot of energy here to threaten the Wigglytuff. So I am going to go for a Grass Knot right here. This is going to be doing some nice damage. Somehow the opponent doesn't shield, which is kind of wild. But now they decide to swap into their own Skeledirge. So this is actually very tricky. I'm going to go ahead and fire off a Rock Slide here, just to see if I can force a shield. And now I'm going to swap into my own Skeledirge. So I am down by an Incinerate, and I will have to keep that in mind. I'm going to go for a Shadow Ball right away here. And fortunately for me, my Skeledirge does happen to win CMP over there, so I'm going to be firing off a Shadow Ball straight away. And they do decide to commit a shield, which is fine. Now I am going to decide to let this go, and it is a Shadow Ball from the opponent's end, so that's okay. But I do have enough energy here, so I am going to be able to fire off a Rock Slide here up against the opposing Skeledirge. So this is actually nice. And it is unfortunately not enough though. I will have to try to farm down, but I do have to commit a shield here. And then at this point though, the Cradily is going to be very low, and the Wigglytuff is still relatively healthy in the back. So I am going to fire off the Grass Knot here just to see how much damage this will do. And unfortunately, it is not enough to KO, but I am able to luckily farm down here. Although I am unfortunately not able to reach a move, so I lost by a very, very close margin there. Great game and well played to my opponent. Hopping into the next battle here, we have Cradily up against a Tapu Fini. So this is a pretty good lead for the Cradily, and now the opponent decides to swap into a Cresselia. So this is actually a very, very tricky match. I could have actually swapped into the Skeledirge here because Skeledirge actually does happen to hard wall most of the most movesets by the Cresselia, unless they are running Future Sight. So I'm going to go straight into the Poliwrath here. Unfortunately, this Cresselia is going to hard punish me, but I'm going to go do as best as I can here. I do fire off the Skull, but unfortunately for me, I do not get the debuff here. And at this point, I decide to let my Poliwrath go down, and this is going to just be KOing my Poliwrath. So I'm going to go ahead and wait on my timer, and now I'm going to come into the Skeledirge and see what my opponent wants to do here. And I'm going to just continue to farm. I'm going to no shield this move from the Cresselia, and if they do a Future Sight, so be it. And they do not. It appears that they have Moonblast and Grass Knot. So the opponent does aggressively swap back into their Tapu Fini here. And unfortunately, this is actually not going to be a very winnable game for me. So that's okay. I'm going to fire off the Shadow Ball. They do let it go, which is nice for me. And now I am going to have to tank some moves here from the Tapu Fini. So I'm going to just let this move go. It is a Surf. It doesn't do too much damage here. But the Tapu Fini is pretty loaded. But luckily, I am able to farm down. So that's great. And now it all depends on what the opponent will have in the back. And in this case, they do have well, the Cresselia does decide to come back in, so I will have to fire off some energy here to take out the Cresselia, or get a shield. The opponent does decide to let this move go, and the opponent does have a Gligar in the back, so this is actually pretty tricky here. I'm going to go ahead and fire off a Grass Knot right away here, just to see if I can force a shield or get some nice damage here on this Gligar, and they do shield, which is good for me. And I am going to fire off the next one, but unfortunately I do lose the CMP tie, or CAP tie rather. It's actually called Charge Attack Priority, not Charge Move Priority. So I am going to let this move, shield this move, of course, and then I'm going to fire off my next Grass Knot right here. Now I am going to fire off this next one, and then I'm going to aggressively pivot into the Skeledirge, and I am able to fire off the next move here, which is great for me. And this is going to be forcing a shield or doing some nice damage here to the Gligar. And they do force a shield, which is nice. The Gligar does have to throw their move to take me out, so I am going to let this move go. And that is totally fine. I'm going to let my Skeledirge go down. And at this point, I'm just going to see if I can commit to the farm down here of the Gligar with the Cradily. And I'm able to do that, so that is going to be a good game. Very well played to my opponent. Hopping into the next battle here, we have Cradily up against a Jellicent. So this is also a very nice lead here for me. Depends on what the opponent wants to swap into. And again, it's another Registeel. So again, this is a very, very tricky matchup here. So again, I could have swapped into the... I could definitely swap into the Skeledirge here, but that's totally okay. This time they do correctly go for the Zap Cannon, of course, and they do get the debuff, which is not good for me. I'm going to go ahead and guarantee debuff this Registeel. In hindsight, I could have just fired a Scald, but that's totally okay. I'm going to go ahead and fire off a Icy Wind here, just to guarantee the debuff. Now I'm going to see if I can counter down some more, but unfortunately I do not throw my energy, and I'm going to tank this next move. Unfortunately, though, they do get another debuff, so I am not going to be able to counter down this Registeel. I do have to fire off some energy, which is very unfortunate here for me. And I do not think... Oh, and I do shield, which is actually good. But unfortunately, I do die with the move, and I do lose switch, and I do lose a bunch of energy on the Poliwrath, so that is not great for me. I'm going to now come in with Skeledirge here, and I do get a Incinerate's worth of energy, which is nice. And the Jellicent does come back in here, so that is okay. I'm going to go ahead and get the shield right away here with the Shadow Ball from the Skeledirge. So I'm going to go ahead and fire off the Shadow Ball and see what my opponent wants to do. They do shield, which is okay. And I am going to go ahead and let this move go, and then save my shield for the Cradily in the back. So I do... So they are able to get a move, but unfortunately I am not able to switch in time. So I do have to bring in my Cradily now. This is my last Pokemon after all. So the Jellicent is going to be throwing a Surf, which is okay. And now it all depends on what the opponent has in the back. So I do have to be careful of a catch here. And unfortunately, though, they do throw on the CMP tie to the Grass Knot. So I will need to shield a potential Shadow Ball here, but unfortunately it is a Surf. So this is fine. I am able to fire off my Grass Knot, though. So this is going to be doing some nice damage here to the Jellicent. It will take it out. And the opponent, unfortunately, does have a Bastiodon, and from this health range, unfortunately, the Cradily is not able to win, just because the Bastiodon is so tanky. 3 Grass Knots won't even come close to KOing it. You probably need like 4, and I am definitely not at a health range where I can reach that amount of energy, that amount of moves. So unfortunately for me, this game is going to be a loss, and that's going to be a good game. Very well played to my opponent there. I am able to fire off one more Grass Knot, but unfortunately the Bastiodon is still very healthy, and the Smackdown is going to be taking me out. So that's going to be a good game. Well played to my opponent. So that's the team. It is a very strong team, and I definitely highly recommend running this one. I would say I would prefer to run Cradily in the lead and then the Poliwrath and the Skeledirge in the back. But you can opt to run Skeledirge in the front too if that's what you desire. But in any case, let me know what you guys think about this team and this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please feel free to give this video a like and also subscribe to my channel. And also please feel free to hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with whatever videos I will come up with next. So that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.